Hey! Hi, how you doing? This is the Gamertron and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. So I've finally been able to play through and experience Resident Evil 7. Admittedly, when the game was first announced and revealed, I didn't have much interest in it. I also found the change in setting and in gameplay, abandoning the characters from previous Resident Evil games and changing to a first-person camera perspective, again, I found odd, I found jarring. But now, after all the praise and all the hype, all the hubbub about Resident Evil 7, after finally playing it, I have to say, it is an incredibly well-made video game and a true quality survival horror experience. I greatly enjoyed my time with this game and playing through the single-player campaign, and I greatly anticipate the upcoming DLC content for the game. I now see what everyone was talking about with Resident Evil 7. I really can't express enough how well made the single-player campaign is, in terms of its pacing, its level design, its excellent cinematics, and well-animated characters. It's awesome, incredible sound design, beautiful lighting, intense nerve-wracking gameplay and combat, and intense nerve-wracking inventory management. Oh man, where to begin? Well, might as well begin with the story. In the game, you play as Ethan Winters, your average Joe, who has traveled to a derelict plantation in Louisiana after receiving a cryptic message from his long-lost wife. After a short time of exploring the swamps and abandoned houses, nightfall comes and Ethan is captured and forced to escape and survive the horrors of the Baker family. And let's talk about them rather quickly. I completely understand why the Baker family is getting so much praise as they are getting for being both memorable and intimidating antagonists. Their character designs are remarkably disturbing. The facial expressions they make, the words they say, the way they move, you can't help but feel uncomfortable. They are indeed very memorable, very well done, very intimidating antagonists. And even though they are constantly thrown in your face, encountering them isn't any less terrifying. Through their dialogue, their attacks, their animations, and through the relentless nature of their AI, you are constantly kept on your toes as you try to stealth by them or engage them in combat. They're great characters, they're great NPCs, they're great boss battles. The Baker family really are the stars of the show of Resident Evil 7. The other characters aren't too bad either. Ethan is relatable and you can't help but feel sorry for him via the hell you personally go through with him. His wife Mia is also an intriguing and mysterious character, with some terrifying and even badass moments of her own. Now, moving on to the visuals and the environments, level design, so on and so forth, Resident Evil 7 is a really good looking game, with high resolution, high quality textures, phenomenal lighting. The lighting in this game is gorgeous, and really truly adds to the mood and atmosphere of the environments. When in a safe area, safe room, the lighting makes the area and room feel warm and welcoming and safe. Yet while you're exploring the rest of the plantation, the main house, the guest house, the basement, the attic, the lighting is designed in such a way that everything is intimidating, foreboding. The visual fidelity of Resident Evil 7 all around is just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous looking game. Coming to the most important part of any game now, the gameplay. And Resident Evil 7 really does feel like an old school survival adventure game. It looks like a modern, present day, AAA blockbuster video game with its visuals. But its gameplay is surprisingly old school. Unlike other, more recent first-person games that give you speed and mobility, Resident Evil 7 restricts you a bit more, with movement that's slower, weightier, and more clunky. On purpose though, which honestly really does add to the intensity and the engagement of gameplay, because you are forced to commit to your movement, whether you walk, sprint, or crouch, timing and aiming your swings with a melee weapon, and timing and aiming your shots to hit the enemy if you're using a gun. Resident Evil 7 requires focus and punishes you for making mistakes. If you hip fire, you're going to be wasting shots and wasting resources. If you just start swinging your melee weapon everywhere hoping you hit something, you're probably not going to hit anything and the enemy's going to hit you. If you don't time when you sprint, when you turn, if you don't concentrate and focus, the game will punish you for it. The game doesn't limit your speed and the fluidity of controls for the sake of difficulty, mind you, that is an added bonus, but mostly for the sake of keeping you engaged, invested, and focused. And it makes stealthing through an area, surviving combat, and exploring the environment all the more satisfying because of that little added challenge and that complete immersion and engagement in the game. And I have to say, Resident Evil 7 is an incredibly intense game. I was on the edge of my seat throughout it, not just because of the terrifying enemies or the terrifying environments, but because, most of all, inventory and resource management, because unlike in other games that are very generous with resources, that constantly have you filling your inventory with ammo and weapons, med kits, healing kits, other items, Resident Evil 7 is stingy as fuck. You are going to have to pick and choose and sacrifice your resources for what you think is best for you. And it is nerve-wracking as hell. Do I sacrifice these medkits to carry more ammo? Do I sacrifice ammo and medkits in order to carry more weapons? Do I combine these items to make more powerful health and ammo? Do I save them for later? Do I use them right now? Oh god, my inventory's full and I need to pick that up. What do I get rid of? The inventory and resource management in this game is unlike any other game I've played. It's so engrossing, so intense, so nerve-wracking. Never before in a video game has the procurement and the collecting and the managing of resources and your inventory had such an emotional impact on me. But it's even worse in combat. It's even worse in combat because every bullet you waste, every shot missed, feels just as horrifying as when an enemy gets a lucky hit and takes out a chunk of your health. Usually in any other game when I miss a hit, it's a tiny bit frustrating. I'm like, oh darn. In Resident Evil 7, when I miss a shot, I start freaking out. Oh my god, I'm wasting ammo. If I miss another shot, the enemy's gonna get closer to me. If I miss another shot, I'm gonna die. Again, Resident Evil 7. Again, I know I've been saying this throughout the video. It's incredibly intense and nerve-wracking. It is true survival horror. You are trying to survive by managing your resources, avoiding and engaging the enemy, and the whole scenario, enemies you face, and the mystery are all horrific and disturbing. However, near the end of the game, after you've built up an arsenal of health, ammo, and weapons, and the game starts throwing enemy after enemy at you, it's extremely satisfying to use all the big guns, to satisfyingly murder these horrific creatures, to feel the satisfaction of knowing that hoarding all those resources, saving up items, managing your inventory all came down to this, and you get to feel like a badass as you blast away monstrosities with your pistol, shotgun, flamethrower, grenade launcher, submachine guns, and more. There's actually quite a decent arsenal of satisfying weapons in the game. And keep in mind, this is all just the single-player campaign I've been talking about. There are more bonus game modes and even more story content on the way in the form of future DLC for the game, and I see myself absolutely picking up the DLC for Resident Evil 7. They did such an amazing job with the single-player campaign that the fact that they're adding in even more game modes and more story content, sign me up, I'm all on board. Resident Evil 7 is a fantastic video game. It's a fantastic first-person survival horror video game that is truly engaging, intense, fun, scary, memorable, and even replayable. From what I understand, multiple playthroughs change up and mix up the game in terms of how enemies react to you, the AI behavior, and item placement throughout the environment. Resident Evil 7 is a fantastic video game, a solid work of art, and even though I consider it to be a massive juxtaposition compared to the other Resident Evil games, as it has almost no relation to the previous games outside of a few references, I mean, it's such a different game tonally, setting-wise, gameplay-wise. It's just such a different game. I don't consider it a Resident Evil game, but as a game on its own, as its own video game, as its own work of art, as its own experience, Resident Evil 7 is fantastic. If you love single-player, survival horror, if you love a well-crafted first-person experience, Resident Evil 7 is all that and more. Fantastic game. Anyways, that's been a video. I hope you liked the video. If you did indeed like the video in any way, shape, or form, please be sure to hit the like button. Hitting the like button helps me, helps everybody involved with the video. If you hit the like button, please leave a comment in the comment section down below. What do you think of Resident Evil 7? Let me know your thoughts on this video game and of the video in the comment section down below. I love reading comments. I get nearly enough comments. Please leave a comment. If you want to help out and support this video, then please share it on social media, Twitter and Facebook. And if you want to help out and support me directly, then please consider pledging and becoming a patron on my Patreon. Anyways, guys, that's been a video, and I'll see you all later.